The next bullet, with local pastors to address the issues from the pulpit. Dr. Walker, we're encouraging pastors. I just wish there were more pastors present. We reached out to pastors, to 500-600 pastors. Come, please. Let's collaborate, cooperate, and communicate. The pulpit is a sounding board. Every Wednesday and Sunday morning, we got thousands sitting before us and hundreds of thousands over the internet, over YouTube. So is the time. Let's get out from behind the pulpit and get in front of the pulpit and march and march. And march. I don't mean marching down the street, but march to these, to help to intervene and raise awareness of MAC counseling and guidance to parents of troubled youth. With media organizations to hold press conferences to raise awareness of the movement. Next slide, please. And then I'm through. Additional objectives, positive behavior programs. In addition to counseling and mentoring, Ministers Against Crime is also committed to working with schools to create safer environments for students. This includes partnering with educators and administrators to implement programs that promote positive behavior and reduce the likelihood of violence in the school system. Next slide. The school's getting ready to start. What a time to make an impact and be impactful. Another important objective of this group is to foster a coalition against crime, gun violence, and school shootings by bringing together community members from all walks of life. By working together, Ministers Against Crime believes that they can create a powerful force for change that will help to make our communities, our neighborhoods safer and more peaceful places to live. And so we can help Dr. Watts and these principals and these teachers, the teachers how many teachers are here? How many stand in the classrooms? How many stand up? The teachers are standing up. Elder Johnson, that other teacher. Yeah. Please when you stand up. Watson, I was talking about you on Wednesday. You are on you're on the firing line. You're in the trenches. You're training and teaching and trying to do it over disobedience and other things. And I know that, we know that. It's a new day, not a day when those who admit they're older than 40, when you dare not act out in school, you better learn, because the entire community will get you. Starting from the school, starting from meeting mom at the grocery store, starting when you get home, and you got chastised by mama and daddy, grandma, and
that's right.
Next door neighbor. Yep. We were some chastised, haven't I? Thank you for your due diligence. So next slide, please. Ministers Against Crime is a group of dedicated clergy members, lay and clergy, who are passionate about making a difference in their communities. Making a difference will be accomplished through these channels: key partnerships, counseling, mentoring, collaboration, collaborate, Ministers Against Crime, MAC, will work to create a better future for the young people in their neighborhoods and to make their communities safer for everyone. I'll stop at that slide. Is that good enough? Give God a praise offering, please. Now my table is running over. I don't need another coalition. I don't need another movement. I don't need another salmon croquette on my plate. But I care. I care. I have a pastor's heart. I care. 43 years here with this great congregation. should be my time to wind down, put up my feet, and smell the roses, and look at the accomplishment God has made here on the City of Hope, these 32 acres that was a junkyard just a few years ago. But I can't. My pastor's heart pounds when I look at the news, when a parent calls and said, Pastor Sheals, can you come to court, go to court with me tomorrow? It pounds. Judge called you 2 weeks ago. 2 weeks ago, I said, I've got somebody in court. I need intervention. I got to go there. So, and I go to court too often, not for myself, thank you, Jesus, but I go to court too often for troubled children. Saints of God, it's time for us to come together as an army of believers, as an army task force, to say we have had enough. David Post, care for cops. Yeah, I'm a part of that now because I do care for cops. And it's not, don't put all policemen, look at this policeman here, look at here. And around us, don't say all cops are bad, cops don't like. No, just in every community, all of our, I'm going to call it like it is, all our young black men and boys are not bad. Most of them are good, great achievers who come from great households, but there are too many got us by the neck and stranglehold. I said to media out there in an interview that it bothers me when our ladies, young and mature, are afraid to go to a gas station and got to look around them and be aware of your surroundings. Be aware of your surroundings. I'm just pumping gas, but I got to be aware of my surroundings. That bothers me. That troubles me. That will trouble you too. That'll make you not just mad, but mad. Turn to a neighbor. No, we're not in church. Turn to a neighbor anyway. Say, neighbor, I'm mad. And I'm going to do something about it. Amen. God praise God for this. We'll come to the greatest sheriff that Gwinnett County ever had here. Chef Kibo Taylor. I'm not in the church, in church I always say, I can't tell you who to vote for. Because we're 501c3. But when I embrace somebody, and when I invite them to the well, that's all I gotta say.
I guess I don't know what to say after that. First of all, let me start by saying I'll always give honor to God, okay? And we don't do anything without doing that first. And I can even take that to another point and say without him. I don't even have to say what that means when I say without him, because each and every one of us in here can fill that in, for whatever it means, without him. But, for me when I was a 14, 15, 13-year-old boy, coming up here to the well before you see all of this, little did I ever know at that particular time that we would be in a position to come back on a stage like this and have an impact here in Gwinnett County. Papa Sheals, he gets on me sometimes about some things. He don't like the way I dance. Maybe that wasn't my calling, I don't know. But, when we, let me say it this way. You come into, little did I know at that particular time that I would be the sheriff of Gwinnett County. Okay, never could have ever envisioned that. But one thing he told me a couple of days ago, he and I was on the phone talking, and I was having a moment, and he said, look, if you take care of God's word, God will take care of you.
Right.
I've been telling people that for about the last 2 weeks. It's like, and it just gave me such a peace to come back in and say, you know what, let me just do what I'm supposed to do. So when you have these visions, this is a vision here. These are the things that we talk about in this community, because like you said, we can't lock everybody up. It's impossible. You can't prosecute everybody. It's impossible. We have to start at some point looking to embrace new and different ideas on how we make this community safe, okay? You can't look to me to have all of the ideas. You can't look to the judges. You can't look to the prosecutors. It's going to take coalitions like this. So I go back to what I just said just a second ago. If you have the vision, and so sometimes, man, when I'm sitting there and I'm like, I got this vision, but how am I going to pull this together? Then that's when you get a call. Hey, I got Mac getting ready to get up and get going. I want you to be a part of it. And it's like, check the box, because these are the things that we need. We need these partnerships. We need to cooperate with each other. We need to make sure that we pull our resources and be glad and be thankful for the fact that we are in these positions that we can do this, okay? Doesn't matter who gets the credit. It doesn't matter who gets all of the accolades, okay? All it has to do is what happens at the end. People ask me all the time, I'm going to say this and I'm going to say one more thing and I'm going to sit down. Why did you get into this? And I've been, and I can't answer that. And like I said, there's some people in this room, Miss Baldwin, don't tell nobody what you knew about me as that 14, 15-year-old boy running around here. But you see, at the end, what we're sitting here talking about, that could have been me. Easily have been me. All right? Because I did these things. And I used to say, well, somebody gave me a break. No, it was because God had a different plan for me. Okay? And with the grace, he was just like, I got some different work for you. Okay? So make sure you get on about doing it. So anyway, I just want to say the sheriff's office is here. He knows I'm here. Everybody else knows that I'm here. And this is what we have talked about from day one, is how we can do this. So last thing I'm going to say, is my staff beautiful? Woo! Excuse me? Excuse me? I'm going to say it one more time. Is my staff beautiful? I'm going to say it one more time. Is my staff beautiful? That's what I want to hear right there. I know I'm the sheriff, but I'm going to say it anyway. I love them. Okay? I love them. I appreciate you. I appreciate you. I appreciate you. Every chance and opportunity that they get to shine, they do it. Every chance. I walked in this room, man, and I was like, I couldn't even hardly breathe when I looked at this, but I knew what was going on. So again, let me say to my staff, thank you very much. Thank you, Mama Sheals, for giving me this opportunity. I apologize for, having had to dip out, but if y'all need a book bag, come on over to 2405 Sugarloaf Parkway. I saw some teachers stand up in here. I expect to see y'all come out there. We got teacher supplies for you. We got a whole bunch of things out there. So if you know somebody that needs book bags, you don't need to register, you don't need to sign up. We are not worried about if you need a book bag and you're out there trying to cheat us out of a book bag. That ain't what this is all about. So come on out and be a part of it. Thank you.
Amen. This table is history making, by the way. You know this is a historic table? Did you know this is a historic table? A first, another first. Chairwoman, will you come, please? A handsome sheriff, beautiful.
No, I didn't unplug it.
Chairwoman. Amen.
Thank you so much, Pastor. Well, good afternoon, everyone. I had this lovely speech prepared, but in the interest of time, I'm going to keep it short. And I first want to start by thanking Pastor Bishop Sheals and the entire Ministers Against Crime for inviting me to share a few words and shed a few light on this conversation. And it's a very important conversation. And I don't represent members of law enforcement, I don't represent members of the clergy, I don't represent members of the judicial circuit, but I do occupy a very unique space as a policymaker and as somebody who can address the resources and the funding, because these entities can be effective in their jobs when we have comprehensive policy and we invest the funding. And it's important that leaders are in a position to do just that. And so I appreciate this conversation to bring to light what Gwinnett County government is doing to address these issues from a policy position as well as a funding position, because we know our sheriff's office, our DA, our judicial, our judges, they need funding. But we also need the resources in the community, because I heard our pastor talk about mental health resources, nonprofit organizations that are meeting the needs of our youth. We need more recreation services. We need opportunities for youth to engage in their communities during that idle time when they're not in school. And you're gonna hear from the superintendent to talk about what's happening in the school grounds. But it's our responsibility to address what happens outside of school. What's happening in the neighborhoods? How are we addressing land use and planning to ensure that there are not check cashing places at every single corner, or gas stations, or Dollar Generals, places that are typically hotbeds for crime? Addressing vacant shopping centers. What are we going to do to revitalize areas so that when kids go home, they're not passing vacant shopping centers that are dilapidated, because that sends a message that their government and their leaders don't care about their communities. So then why should they? So it's up to us to make sure that we're restoring communities from a policy standpoint, that we're addressing bringing economic opportunities to communities that have historically been disinvested. I'm a social worker. We don't have a lot of social workers in policymaking positions, but I have a different lens, because I have a lived experience and I see what communities of color, we talk about our Black and brown communities, Black and Hispanic Latino are the leading cause of death if gun violence impacts Black and Latino males the most. And you know, life expectancy is not related to whether or not you have health insurance or a good health care plan. It is directly linked to your zip code. Your zip codes define your life expectancy. And so as leaders, those that sit in positions like I do, have to look at how are we investing in the zip codes that have been historically disinvested, that don't have businesses that are bringing jobs, that don't have access to quality recreation services, playgrounds, affordable housing, economic opportunities. That is how we need to rethink how we do public policy and reinvest and reprioritize, because we know Gwinnett County does a lot of things very well. We have world-class infrastructure. We have world-class roads. You know when you're on a Gwinnett County road and when you drive outside the border and you're riding on your rotors, you know, I'm outside Gwinnett and you already know it. But looking at the things that we do well, we're going to continue to maintain that. But looking at the things that we have not achieved success is how we need to reprioritize and refocus our efforts. Affordable housing, recreation, after-school programs, mental health resources, and you're going to hear from some of our mental health experts. But the county also invests in programs that we're doing internally, like the police department's behavioral health unit, and having a co-responder model to decriminalize mental health. So when our officers do respond to instances where somebody is having a mental health crisis, there will be a clinician that will be on call with them to help de-escalate the situation. And we've seen how successful that has happened. We've also invested in programs like the Red Enables Dream program to give first-time nonviolent offenders a second chance at life. And you're going to hear DA talk a little bit about that as well. But see, again, when you have representation, when you have leaders that sit at the helm that recognize that programs like this matter, then you're going to start to see investments that are ultimately going to make a change in this community. And that's what I've always been committed to. And that's why we're going to continue to drive economic opportunities in our communities that have been disinvested. And we're going to start to see a change. But conversations like this matter, which is why I appreciate Bishop Sheals for having this timely conversation. Oh, and I didn't even have my recreation board appointee sitting at the corner when we talk about quality recreation opportunities and facilities and programs, and you're gonna hear from Eric Thigpen a little bit later as well. But conversations like this allow us to collaborate, communicate, and cooperate. So thank you, Bishop Sheals, for this. And thank you all. I'm sorry I have to run. I could go on and on about all the different things that we need to be doing, but I hope that this is not the first conversation. I hope this is one of many conversations. I hope that I'm invited back, because we're going to continue to talk about the work that Gwinnett County government is doing. And with that, I say God bless. I hope to see
our sheriff department for Gwinnett County and our Gwinnett County commissioners are in good hands. That's how you clap at a Braves game.
all right.
I'm gonna say it's good and healthy. The first black sheriff for Gwinnett County. Black chairperson, period. And not just happen to be a woman, a strong, effective leader. And everything she just said. Our sheriff and our chairwoman are both up for re-election. That's all I gotta say. Thank you. And now another first. Boy, I tell you, Pop Sheals love to do first assists. Here's another first assist. The first black DA for Gwinnett County. Not just happens to be a woman, but an effective DA who is a woman. And that is my district attorney, Patsy Gaston.
Thank you. Before Nicole gets out of the room, she's right. Thank you for the funding, Nicole, because a lot of things we could not do if the county was not behind us. And one of the things that we started in our office immediately, and I wanted to do it sooner than later, because I think the sheriff said earlier, we cannot incarcerate everybody. Come on, y'all. We got to start in prevention. We got to start there. And then, of course, the schools. That's the first place. And then you got the homes where these kids are coming out of. So, you know, the work is plentiful. You know, what does the Bible say about that? The harvest? Hey, look, we're here for that. And I am so empowered. I feel so thrilled. I feel just full. Thank you, Bishop, for this. Thank you, because I've been all about collaboration from day one when I walked into the DA's office. We went in there January 1st of 2021. We had our black eyed peas, collard greens, and roast chicken. I think Darryl was there. I think you came out. We had a plate. We could say, we're going in there very first day. We're going in there praying. I can say that here, right? Yeah. Okay? So we went in with that thought behind our minds that we have a job to do. And it's such a time as this. This is not a coincidence. None of this is coincidental. This is about God. This is about saving our youth. That's what it's all about. In our office, we have several initiatives. We all know about the bad things that are going on, and we have someone that's going to talk about a little bit of our crime stats really quick, so I'm not holding y'all up. And then I have someone here that's in our drug and gang task force division that's going to talk quickly about how do you identify when a child is in danger of being in a gang. How do you just look at that? You know, we got to get our heads wrapped around what's going on.
That's right.
Because on a daily basis, I get reports that come in about our schools. And my big thing now is drugs, guns, and gangs. Y'all, we got to take a bite out of that.
That's right.
Okay, because the enemy's not going to win. Bottom line, the enemy will not win this. I mean, he roars like a lion sometimes, and you know, sometimes you just got to stand there. Stand against it. And guess what? 9 times out of 10, he's running. He's running. So, a couple of things we did. I want to talk about the good stuff first. And one of the things we did initially coming in was start some initiatives that never existed before. And that would be our RED program, Rehabilitation Enables Dreams. We've graduated our first cohort last December. We have another class right now. And the testimonies that come out of those programs is amazing. When you have a parent that was ready to wash her hands over a child, and then that child got a letter asking them to come into the RED program, a second chance. Don't give up. And I tell people that all the time, never give up. You know, we got to keep working. And when you see somebody having that chance and they come in and their lives are changed, it's amazing. It's truly amazing. I feel like that's why I've been put here. This office I'm in feels like a ministry. It really does. It feels like a ministry. And to see that happen, we have, those are 17 to 28-year-olds who have their first brush with the law, nonviolent. They come in, we try to retrain them. I have some folders here that we'll talk about. That's one of the programs that is in there, those that want to learn more about it. I'll be here for a while, so I'll be able to give you a folder that talks about that program. We also have in our juvenile court the RISER program, and we're getting great testimonies coming out of there too. I think we've had at least 6 cohorts in the RISER program. Darryl Mans, he's my chief assistant. He works closely with all of this type of programming that we do have. And we also, and I tell you this is a funny story because when we first did this program, we had 12 students from Gwinnett County schools that came in our first junior DA investigator mentorship program. We had 12 students, and I told them, I said, y'all are like our disciples. Y'all go back out and get people. And this year we had 49 students in our program. So I just feel like things are moving and shaking. We got to just keep that momentum going. And you got to love our young people. And I tell them, I'll meet them for the first time, and I'll tell them, I love you. And I said, I know same strangest lady you don't know is telling you that she loves you, but I do. I love you. And kids have a reaction to that. So we have to instill some joy into them, not just about, well, if you don't do this, if you don't do that, this is what's going to happen to you. No, it's not all about that. Sometimes it's about saying, being kind. And that's one thing we do in our junior DA investigative mentorship program. Every day we did something to talk about conflict resolution. We did something every day about inspiration, just to inspire our kids. And that's what we all can do. And I know y'all are doing that because y'all are sitting here today. Okay? So I'm just thrilled about it. I don't know if you have the site for the crime stats. Were you able to get it? Okay, can we run those real quick and have them say, you got to keep it like this little. Okay, can you do that, Rodriguez? This is one of my assistant chiefs in our department. He helps me a lot. He gets emails from me daily about issues we're having in Gwinnett. I think you're going to need a mic real quick. So just kind of go through that.
I will try to go as quick as I can and be able to cover what we want to cover. So I'm going to stand right here so you all can take a look at the screen for me. Go ahead, sir. Thank you. Crime stats. Thank you, Pastor. Why are crime stats important? They help the criminal justice professionals anticipate increased risk of crime and prevent the predicted crimes from occurring. Also, those numbers help evaluate what is really taking place in a particular jurisdiction, as Chairwoman explained about the zip code, so that we can focus on those areas and how can we positively impact the citizens of that area or the county that we also probably serve and protect. So how can we collaborate, communicate, and cooperate, correct? That is correct. Thank you, sir. We reached out to every single agency that you see up on the screen: City of Duluth, Gwinnett County Police, City of Lawrenceville, Lilburn, Norcross, Snellville, and Suwannee. We asked for them to provide us with the following numbers that I'm about to speak to you about. The City of Duluth, what we did is I provided them with what you're looking at. We broke down the crimes by 3 categories: the crimes against persons, your property crimes, and others. As you can see, for the City of Duluth, and this is going to be a comparison between the years 2022 to 2023. 2023, of course, the year is not over with, so we went from January to the month of June, and we did a comparison. When you look at these numbers, and again, I'm going to try to make it quick, you can see, if you focus on the last 2 columns, the red columns on your right-hand side, you will see the differences between 2023 and 2022. You look at the crime categories, and you can tell what crimes have gone up, what crimes have gone down. So where do we need to communicate, collaborate, and cooperate to get these numbers down so that we can make the City of Duluth a better place to live? Go ahead, sir. Same with Gwinnett County Police Department. Of course, Gwinnett County Police has the entire jurisdiction of the entire county. So the numbers are going to be much greater than those from any of the city agencies. Next. Your City of Lawrenceville. And we felt that it was important to show all of you guys these numbers because here today we have people from all over the county. We just don't have people from Norcross and Peachtree Corners. We have people from every single city within Gwinnett. So we wanted to make sure that you knew or were aware of what you're getting, what your numbers in your area look like. Next. City of Lilburn. And again, as Madam DA said earlier, we're going to have all of these numbers for you in that packet, in that folder, so you can take a look at them and take a look at the area you live in. Next. You have your City of Norcross here around the corner. Next. Snellville. Suwannee. So, together, correct, Pastor? Yes. Together, we can reduce crime in our community by utilizing best practices in criminal justice protection and criminal crime prevention, leverage the criminal justice system to improve the quality of life and safety of all people, build credible relationships with key stakeholders to build confidence in the criminal justice system, provide innovative, valuable legal solutions to keep people out of the criminal justice system through effective diversion programs. Next. In our office, we value integrity, diversity, respect, innovation, and community partnership. We are people of integrity who hold ourselves to the highest standards of personal and professional conduct. We are committed to fair and ethical prosecutions. We dare know and we identify, we have to know that there are 2 types of criminals. Those who just want to do harm and hurt others, and those who were given a deck of cards and didn't know which hand to play, and they played the wrong hand. So if we know the difference between those, we know when to intervene and make the changes that we want to make in their lives. Diversity. We are committed to the protection of all persons and to the creation of inclusive workforce and environment. It will not exclude, deny services to, or discriminate against any person on the basis of actual or perceived race, color, religion, national origin, sex, gender, identity, sexual orientation, and disability. Our office is very, very diverse. We have employees South American, employees from Africa, employees from Central America, and employees from Europe, as well as the United States, of course. And this is important because we all understand where we come from. We understand and know that Gwinnett County has surpassed 1 million residents. And if you look and you go around Gwinnett County, you will see diversity in Gwinnett. There's not a place in Gwinnett County where you don't have people from 50 or 60 different countries at any given point. So we understand that, and working together helps us understand where people are coming from and why they react to the things they react the way they do. Respect, we treat each other, all of the members of the public, with dignity and respect. We will be fair and respectful to all of those involved in the justice system and community we serve. Innovation, we will embrace new and innovative ideas, technologies, and legal advancements in order to promote the mission of our office. We are there to help, but we're also there to prosecute, right? And bring justice to those victims, to those families who fell victims of a crime. We noticed that there was a need for technology, and Madam DA purchased a scanner that was given to the Gwinnett County Police Department that scans crime scenes. So now a crime scene can be processed way quicker than what it used to be before. And the footage and the things in these crime scenes can be played in a courtroom during trial, have the jurors take a look at it and actually understand what they're looking at, which can help them make the right decision when the verdict comes down. And lastly, community partnership. We advocate and support the building of strong and variable partnerships with law enforcement and community stakeholders in our jurisdiction as we serve to achieve the highest level of public safety. That's why we're here. And that's why we're asking you to please let us know if you want us to be at any other events within your city, within your community, within your neighborhood, your schools, anything and everything we can do to help to make sure that the message gets out there. Together we can make it, we can accomplish it. Thank you all very much. Appreciate you.
A little bit more time, Pastor. Okay, what I want to do now, we do have these folders that has that information in it. And in it, we also have information on, because it's all about education, sexual assault awareness, gun safety awareness, and drug awareness. So we want to pass those out to y'all, because when you have so many people here, you have some people sharing common walls in an apartment complex, and a gun goes off because somebody don't know how to use it, and it kills somebody, okay? You know, this is the thing. People have to be educated. I have said it once, and I'll say it again. Everybody does not need a gun. Amen. They don't need it, okay? Because it's causing mayhem in our community. Too many people feel like they have to have those guns. So we'll have those for those that want to get this information afterwards. I think it's very helpful. Once you have it, you have questions. As Assistant Rodriguez says, please reach out to us, because we're here to serve you. Okay, now Megan, I want you to say a few quick, keep it little, about gang awareness. She is the managing ADA in our Drug and Gang Task Force unit. Okay?
And I want to apologize ahead of time for my soccer mom outfit. I am, as some other folks, juggling a few different things today, so I'm between games of the first weekend. So, just very, very briefly, we had a brief conversation about some means that parents and community members may be able to identify if children in their lives, whether it's their own children or children that they supervise or mentor or are teaching, etc., may be heading towards that path. Really, the first thing is to pay attention. And I'm a parent, so I know that we all get busy and things can be difficult, and kids know how to use technology to hide some things and things like that. But in particular, for example, if your children or children that are in your lives have cell phones, please be actively involved in monitoring those cell phones, what they're doing, who they're talking with, the groups that they're in, the apps that they're using, etc. There are ways to track that for a child, that the child does not have the ability to disable, because there are apps and things that allow children or other people to disable tracking apps, but there are other ones specifically for parents that do not allow a child to disable the app on their phone, so that the parent can always see, they can always pull up what apps are being used, who's being communicated with, etc. Additionally, having conversations with children, open conversations about what they, I know that sounds so simple, but what they may encounter, the pressures that they're going to face, the things that they may see, and how they can respond if they see that, if they see their friends getting into it, or if they are asked to participate or upload or whatever. Some common, simple things that parents and leaders can look for. Gwinnett County is a little bit unusual within the state of Georgia because of our diversity. We have every kind of gang that you can imagine here in Gwinnett, all the major national ones, as well as what are called hybrid gangs. And the hybrid gangs may be a collection of Bloods, Crips, Gangsters, Disciples, etc., who ordinarily would not be working together, but here in Gwinnett, because of the diversity and in part also because of some of the geographic boundaries and things, they do work together. So they will, you may have, what it comes from is the kids continue to cooperate with the people with whom they grow up, despite the fact that, for example, that child may have other ties or may have a stronger connection to, for example, a blood set. They may end up in a hybrid gang with Crips, and they may end up doing some things. So awareness is key, but what some of the things you may see is if you see, for example, as you're looking at electronic communication in any fashion with a child, if you start to see the same types of emojis, certain gangs will use certain emojis and other gangs use other emojis. They'll use it both in their identifiers, like on Instagram, as part of their username, but then also within the messaging. Some that may be obvious would be, the red B for blood, the blood drop, the syringe emoji, things like that. And for Crips, you may have the blue handicap emoji, the blue heart, things like that. Gangster Disciples will have the green 6-pointed star and some others. But there are other subsets and hybrids. You may see repeated a dove emoji. Believe it or not, depending upon the context, that can be associated with a couple of gangs. You may see the muscle arm emoji a bunch. That's potentially part of a subset. There are subsets within the county that use these other emojis. So while the emoji itself does not mean gang affiliation, it may mean let's have a conversation, right? And so, again, as a parent, but as a gang prosecutor, I'm aware of this as a mom and just want to keep on top of everything. And so I always suggest to people, also as a practitioner, that if you see these things, if you see groups of kids starting to set themselves apart a little bit, or starting to use similar language and similar emojis, they may not all wear colors anymore, like how most popular culture associates with gangs, right? You won't always have Bloods in red, Crips in blue, other folks in black, etc. Yes, sir? So just being aware and communicating with parents and community leaders as well, and teachers, and I think that that's the best way that we can do this.
You had a lot of information there, especially identifying gangs, and so that's a separate session. I'm gonna have my DA have a session. Where's these gentlemen? This is my security people in the blazers for the church. I want to make sure we get parents in a setting with their children, and you come back and make a presentation.
Yeah.
Thank you. Well, we've had a lot of first black sheriff, first black chairwoman, and the first black DA, and they all up for re-election next year. And I think I'm going to jump and skip just a little bit here because you said you'll come late. I'm going to ask Dr. Thigpen to come because he's in the school systems and he wanted Billy White Shoes. Come here. Billy, no, just go. What you said, five. No, just say you're gonna get the athletes involved. Say it. That's all I'm saying. That's how you do it. That's all I'm saying. Dr. Thigpen come. He's in the school system, and then the boss of the school system, the superintendent. We're going to have him come, and then I've got a testimony from a parent that we just had the funeral of his teenage son from gun violence last month, and he's still a grieving father, but he's agreed to come and do a 5-minute why this is so important. Please, Dr. Thigpen, will you come, please? And first blackers to have this position as well.
Thank you, Bishop Sheals. Well, good morning. Good morning. It is indeed an honor and a privilege to stand before you this morning, not just as an employee of Gwinnett County Public Schools, but more importantly, a child of God and a citizen in this great community we call Gwinnett. And so it is an honor for me to serve alongside our great leader, Dr. Calvin J. Watts, and I will not steal your thunder, sir. So let me stand and just talk a little bit about how you can get involved. I remember growing up, the phrase often used around my household and my family, an idle mind is a devil's worshiper, right? And so a lot of the issues Bishop Sheals talked about, the why, oftentimes is because our young people are trying to create a sense of belonging.
Yes.
They're left to their own demise. They're left to their own creativity, their own innovation, with very little guidance from those of us who've experienced things, who have gone through some things, who have gone through some heartache and hurt, and we can help them avoid some of those pitfalls. I believe every life has value. Every life has meaning. As a matter of fact, the Bible tells us, for I know the plans I have for you, declares the Lord, plans to prosper you and not to harm you, plans to give you a hope and a future. And so that's what we want for our young people, and it's going to take all of us to collaborate, communicate, and cooperate to get that done. Here are a couple opportunities. The chairwoman mentioned that I also serve as vice chair with the Recreation Authority Board. We need volunteers to help us coach with our athletic associations. Billy White Shoes Johnson just walked out talking about athletes, but we need you, those who have time. Sheriff asked me when I was coming in, how are things going? I said, they're busy and good. You can be busy and be chaotic, but you can be busy and be organized, and that can be a good thing. So all of you who are here, you're probably ones that have been tapped with all the things already, but we need more from you, and we need you to get more to help us with our young people. So I encourage you, if you have any interest or skill sets around coaching our athletes or our students, help us in that area. Mentorship. We have an amazing community-based mentoring program, and thank Dr. Watts for bringing that back. Mr. James Rayford is leading those efforts. We also want to collaborate with you. You may have mentoring efforts already going. We need to know about that. And so, as Bishop mentioned, there are sign-up sheets in the back. I want to encourage you to sign up. If you want to mentor a young man or young boy or young girl to help lead and guide them, they need you, we need you in that effort. Last year around December, we had a mid-course correction that the superintendent called on. And part of that was a discipline task force. Out of that birthed a school safety advisory council. And so we're going to be launching that this school year. If you want to be a part of the solution, helping keep our schools safe, make our schools safer, informing us about what's happening in the community so that we can keep the out and the in our schools, and so we can keep our focus on teaching and learning, I encourage you to sign up to be a part of that School Safety Advisory Council. And then you may want to, I've shared with a couple of you here, bring a program to our school. Every cluster in our school district has what we call a community school. That's typically, the directors typically housed at the high school, but it can be at any of the feeder schools as well. And so if you have a program that you want to engage our staff, our students, or just need a safe place to be able to incorporate your program in the community, you can do that through our community school program. I encourage you to do that as well. And so it is an honor to serve alongside you, with you, lock arms with you, commit to keeping our schools, our community safe. And Bishop, I look forward to keeping this work going with you, sir. All right.
That's good news to know. So make some room for Mac. Okay? Amen. First. Another first. It's the first black school superintendent for Gwinnett County. You two gentlemen, you can come have a seat over here if you like. Yeah. I don't have any more food. Yes, you can. You can have a waffle. But no syrup. So then, this gentleman is a first as well. Of the 11th, I was made to know, the 11th largest school system in the country, Gwinnett County. Number 11.
Wow.
We're talking about Chicago, New York, California. Number 11. I'll let them talk about the student body and number of teachers, but it's a huge responsibility. And the reason he's here, because I need the school board to embrace MAC. Let us in. Let us offer our services. These are. Will the clergy stand up again, please? Just these are men and women who are ready to go to work. Ready to go to work. Minister Thomas Taylor has been mentoring for years in the school systems. Now we're going to multiply that to another level. Dr. Calvin Watts, will you please come? Another first. I'm probably the only one that's not a first up here at this table. Because I've been here 43 years. So that makes me a second, third, fourth, fifth, and 43 years worth. And I know you're saying, 43 years, but I started when I was 12. Come on.
Bishop Sheals, thank you. I was going to say you started when you were 6.
Yeah.
I do believe it. Thank you for your kind words. Thank you also for lunch. Truth be told, I give all credit, place all blame on my parents. You offered those chips to me, and they told me it would have been an insult for me to turn them down. So thank you for the offer, and I gladly accept it. Just like so many other...
Is it acceptable? Blue chips is exceptional. 3 chips. Half my chips.
We are in God's house, and I know I am forgiven. Thank you, Bishop Sheals. Please repeat after me. How are the children?
How are the children?
The children are well.
The children are well.
Now, if we were all able to speak in the Maasai tribal nation's native language, that would sound differently. But translated into English is exactly what they're greeting to each other. When the adults come back home, they ask that question, how are the children? And the reason why they ask that is because the answer, the children are well, implies one thing and one thing only. It implies that the adults are well. Because in order for the children to be well, the adults have to be well. We are their first teachers. And thankful, grateful to our educators in this room to our teachers, to our leaders at the district office level, to our principals, to our parents, to our families, you will always be our students' first and brightest teachers. So I want to provide for you today. I know there's a lot of information out there regarding public education. I refer to it as the greatest opportunity for our youth, for our communities. The power and the promise of public education in Gwinnett County Public Schools has never been greater. The potential for greatness in Gwinnett County Public Schools has never been greater, but I also rely on some of the great quotes that my parents shared with me. One was from my dad about that very word, called potential. He said it could be one of two things. It could mean that you are poised for greatness, son, or it could mean that you haven't done anything yet. Which one is it? The choice is always yours. And so I learned in my previous organization to call people in. I had a great opportunity 22 years ago to call someone into my life who has changed it fundamentally for the good. So I give all credit to Sister Watts as Bishop. Yes, I thank you to Mrs. Robbie Watts. Thank you, my counselor in chief and my beloved wife. We have 184,000 children. We have one who we technically still claim on our taxes, but the reality is that's how seriously I take this work. I share that with our leaders. When we see this work as taking care of our children, because technically there is a law called in loco parentis, which means in place of parents. So while they're with us, technically they are our children, and we want to make sure that we are taking care of them just like they were our own. And I often say this, we need to reach and teach all children as if they had our last name, because when we do, we are compelled to love them, to lead them in a better, brighter way. So here are a few things that I will leave with you so that you can help share the message, because this is a perfect opportunity. It is an opportunity for us to learn and also to lead. And that means once we leave these hallowed halls, what is it that we need to share with our community? We need to share that we are a school district that, yes, is the 11th largest in the country. And we are also the school district that resides in the county that, based on 2020 U.S. Census data, is the 7th most diverse in the country. The world is in Gwinnett. Our student population represents 82% students of color. The reality is there is no language of the 100 plus languages that are spoken that doesn't exist in this world. That's not here in Gwinnett County Public School. That's how diverse we are. And I believe this. Diversity is a fact. Inclusion, however, and this is where we get some of the challenge. Inclusion is an intentional act. And I learned this in my previous organization, and I worked in a state that had a strong union association and membership. And what that meant is that if we ever had to make any decisions, we couldn't do it without calling people in. We couldn't do it without negotiating. We couldn't just say we're going to offer this pay adjustment or we're going to take this away from your job duties. It had to be negotiated. So I learned how to call people in instead of calling people out. That notion of being in a divisive and divisive culture, we've talked about that often. Sometimes it feels like we're so divisive and divisive that we can't even decide on how to pronounce divisive or divisive. That's real. But when we call people in, we get a better understanding of where you're coming from, what your baseline is, how you grew up, what are your values, what do you care about? And so, what is happening in Gwinnett County Public Schools? Great things are happening. Are we perfect? Far from it. Are we making perfect progress? Yes, indeed. Specifically, we're committed to training our staff. We're committed to listening to our students, listening to our families, calling people in, to our staff, and working together, collaborating, cooperating, communicating effectively. Teacher retention. You might have heard that we're losing teachers. There's a national exit of teachers in public education, and that is not necessarily the case. Yes, we are seeing natural attrition, but as of today, we have hired 2,199 teachers for the 23-24 school year. We currently have, yes, there's a need. And there is a desire to teach in Gwinnett County Public Schools, and we want to make sure that it is and continues to be a destination location for our educators. But to give you some context, I was there, and several of you in this room were there on July 11th. That was a day, 2+ weeks ago, our new teacher orientation, where we invited close to 1,900 new teachers. Some brand new to the profession, some brand new to Georgia, some brand new to Gwinnett County Public Schools. We had 305 vacancies at that time. We now have 195 vacancies, so 110 teachers have been hired even since that time. Now, we're open for inspiration, August 2nd. That's what I call our first day of school. We're going to be open for inspiration, welcoming back 184,000 of our youngest, brightest human beings who reside in Gwinnett County Public Schools, and we are proud and we are ready. But for context purposes, let's talk about this. We have a cohort of new teachers right now. Amongst those who joined us, really creates a sense of diversity. In fact, it's one of the most diverse group of teacher leaders that we've ever had in the history of Gwinnett. Why is that important? Some might say, well, Dr. Watts, diversity, yes, it is a fact. But remember what I said, inclusion is an intentional act. And there is such a thing as a role model effect. If you've not heard about this research out of Johns Hopkins and American University in the DC metro area. And this research several decades ago was based on the premise that when I see images of myself in positions of power or authority, I too will believe in my mind that I can aspire and become that very same person. That is why diversity is important. That is why inclusion is even more important. So when I see me, I can be me. That's based on that research premise. And so what are we doing to make sure that that is the case? Given the fact that we are one of the most diverse school districts in the country, this cohort of new teachers is one of, again, not only the most diverse, but the idea that this is the second year in a row with one of our employee groups where we've never had a vacancy, our bus drivers. And I want to thank anyone here who has been or aspires to be one of the greatest jobs in the world. And I say that because you would then become a director of first impressions. That's the official job code. I can't change it officially, but that's the code that I give to our bus drivers. Why? Because whenever a child gets on a bus, know that this is the law. They are technically on campus. They are in school as soon as they get on the bus. And that means that bus driver is in charge of their care. And the impressions that they leave when they come on the bus and when they leave the bus, our bus drivers are the first and the last individuals with whom our students come into contact. I had a story of a bus driver who drove for more than 12 years, and she recognized the fact that if a family doesn't move and the route doesn't change, it's the one person in our employee groups that can actually literally watch a child grow up from kindergarten to 12th grade. That's how special this work is. And so when we think about it that way, we also know that money is not everything. But I'd be silly if I said money doesn't matter. And we can't actually spend all of our money on everything that we need or want, but we do have one of the largest budgets in school districts. Most people don't realize that we have a $3.2 billion budget. That's billion with a B. And that is certainly an impressive number, but it's also used as an investment plan. It's not an endless supply of resources, but that money, that $3.2 billion has gone to support these initiatives. And I'll be swift in my mentioning, but teacher raises. We know that our teachers are doing mighty work. The last 3 years have been tough on everyone, especially our teachers, especially our families, our students, especially those who are supporting those who teach. But every year, for the last 3 years, this current administration has recommended, and certainly under my leadership, we and I cannot do this alone as I serve alongside 5 of our elected officials as board members. We recommended a salary increase for our teachers, and it's been approved by our board. This year, teachers are getting a $3,500 salary increase, and that's a step increase. I'm also humbled to hear the gratitude from our teachers who received another investment that we've made, because we know that school supplies are not cheap. And sometimes our teachers have to decide whether to get school supplies for their own children, or sometimes school supplies for the children who come to them in the classroom. And so we've negated some of those challenges, and supplied each and every one of our teachers this year with a $300 instructional material supply card for Office Depot. We've also increased by 4.5% the cost of living increase for those who are not on our teacher salary schedule. And we now have, and that was a commitment when I arrived, to make sure, even though we've heard the minimum, I'll say, hourly wage that is considered a living wage. Does anyone know what that number is? You've heard it. You've heard $15 an hour. I know that's what people believe is living wage, but when you calculate that, it actually computes to a little less than $33,000 a year. We're still trying to improve upon that, but right now we are getting closer, and we are now at a $15 minimum wage across the board. That has been our goal, and we are not stopping there. A one-time $1,000 supplement will be paid out in the fall to our employees. We want to make sure that we're keeping our salaries competitive. One, because it does show that we are investing in our people. Mr. Thigpen mentioned mentoring, and I want to say that we're not just relaunching mentoring, and Mr. Thigpen knows this, we're elevating student voice. How are we doing that? By making sure that we have adults who are there to listen, to care, and to help hold accountable. And accountable is not a bad word. I know some people say, well, accountability, are you chastising? No, we're helping to hold them accountable, because accountability doesn't always mean a bad thing. Accountability simply says when you set a goal and you achieve it, something should happen. You should celebrate. You should say, job well done. That's accountability. But accountability also says when you set a goal and you don't achieve it, again, something should happen. You should have some sort of course correction. You should have an adult to be able to say, stop, pause. You might want to rethink that, or say more because I didn't quite understand what you said. Those relationships are long-lasting and enduring, and they're productive, ensuring our students are going to be more successful than not. We know that testing is a part of our work, and tests matter and results matter. Milestones data, while it's as close to it, I've begun reviewing just the initial data that has come back as of July 28th. We're still on par with our current performance, and I would say, I don't use this as an excuse, while post-COVID has been a challenge for us, it's still a factor, but it is not an excuse, and we will continue to see our students thrive and improve upon their academic performance. But I am here to say, finally, but most importantly, proud, humbled, and honored to serve as our superintendent. Some might say, well, what does that really mean to be superintendent? And I often joke that it's true story that my parents intended for me to be super. So I guess it kind of makes sense. You see what I did? I know. I'll be here all week, 2 shows. Bishop Sheals, I want to thank you for allowing me this time, and maybe at least one more chip. The next lunch is on me. But thank you. This day is momentous on multiple occasions and for multiple reasons. August 2nd, we are open for inspiration. We're so glad to be back. Thank you for having me. Team GCPS. You can get a t-shirt. All of you. You are now a part of Team GCPS. Thank you so much. Thank you.
Amen. What an august group. We are almost there. Because we got started a little late because we were still meet and greet and waiting on the catfish to drop. You guys, I'm sorry. There may be a chip in Dr. Watt's pocket. But anyway, let's do this. Another first, and Superior Court Judge Tracy Mason, he says, but she's not a first black. All of these Augusta people have been, but she's a first because she was the first. That's my inspiration every 20 minutes. He's also my timekeeper. Thank you, Tank. She was the first to respond to the invitation that I had sent out for this gathering for this symposium. The very first I received was from Superior Court Judge Tracy Mason, who's also the niece of my longtime 47 odd years friend, Wayne Mason. And what she had to say in her email regarding this, she didn't know how it was going to roll out, but what she read in my invitation moved her because she, some of these young men we've been talking about and boys that come before court touched her heart. Tracy, will you please come? Please, Judge Tracy.
Thank you, folks. Yes, thank you, folks. Again, my name is Tracy Mason, and I am one of your 11 Superior Court judges. We have Judge Fluker here, who's another Superior Court judge, and Judge Matthews sits for the Superior Court judges. I want to assure you folks, we are working hard for you in the Superior Court, but what I'd like this commission to do is just make us bored. Give us no more felonies, because what we do in Superior Court is we hear felonies. I would say about a third of my cases, I have about 260 indicted cases, are felonies. A felony is any crime that's sentenced, where the sentence is more than a year up to life. So we see some of the most heinous crimes. Yeah, it's tough, you know, when some days, because just like Dr. Watt says, especially when I see these kids, anybody that comes in my courtroom, I feel like, you know, they are my children. These are the people who are assigned to me. And, but for the grace of God, you know, there go I. So you have a choice. There's some people who come through, and thank goodness we've got criminal justice reform. We have programs now that help the people who are not hardened criminals reform and become, I'm always looking for a way to make people productive members of society. Sometimes you can't do that. There have been a couple, you know, when Bishop Sheals, when I saw his email, I was in the middle of a trial, and it was an issue that I want to bring to your attention. Unfortunately, I'm not here with answers. I'm here with the problem. And maybe it helps to see a picture of what the problem is to come up with answers. I don't know what the answers is, but it must start with folks like all of you, all the folks on this panel, coming together and talking for Gwinnett. We love Gwinnett. Gwinnett is our community. And so if we work together, like my sign says in my office, God is bigger, and there is hope when there is God. We're going to find it. So when I was speaking to my colleagues about what I should address, there are two issues. The first one starts with mental health. We've been talking about mental health. A lot of the folks we see have mental health issues, diagnosed and not diagnosed. We have accountability courts now that address these issues, diversionary programs where if it's a nonviolent crime, we can get them into mental health court. They're treated. Once they're treated, where do they go? They're back on the streets or recycled back into jail. We have got to find some solution about housing for mental health folks in Gwinnett County. It can't just be for the people who have money to put them somewhere. We've got to find some way. Thank you to the county for all they've done. Viewpoint is a valuable resource. The sheriff's got in-house folks who are working on it. We recognize it as an issue. We're not putting it in the closet anymore. So anything y'all can do to help with that is essential. I'm going to tell you the second issue that really concerns me. When Bishop Sheals' email came across, I was hearing a case, and I'm hearing the same kind of case. It's not good news. It's heartbreaking because I have kids, and I told Dr. Thickpen, you know, they're in high school all week, and on the weekends, I'm just going to tell you, I can't talk about any particular case, but I can give you an outline of what happens. They make more money dealing drugs, you know, selling marijuana than they can doing anything else. When I hear about finding other things for them to do, jobs for them, I'm heartened to know that there are solutions out there. But these kids all have guns, and they don't even know the potential of these guns. I have them get on the stand and 16 and 17-year-olds who are being charged as adults because the crimes are so heinous. They get on the stand and they'll say, this is the first time I shot it. I didn't realize what it would do. They go into a marijuana deal, 2 or 3, with sellers, 2 or 3 buyers. Somebody reaches in their pocket, everybody pulls out a gun, and somebody goes away dead. So I'm sitting on the bench. I'm looking at the defendant's mama sitting out there, whose heart is broken because she didn't raise her child to be like this. This is not an evil child. This is not a criminal necessarily, or a black-hearted criminal. I got the victim's mama over there who will never see her child again. You know, and you can't make that right. Somehow, we got to come up with an answer that prevents it from even getting to that point.
That's right. That's right.
Because, I mean, I could cry right now because I'm trying, you know, we try those cases all the time. And there's a broad spectrum of things I can talk about, but those are big concerns. Mental health, I think it's going to start in the schools. Thank you to Dr. Watts, to Dr. Thigpen. Thank you for all the teachers. I'm a product of Gwinnett County School. I graduated from South Gwinnett High School. Y'all got a big job. It's different from 1979 when I graduated. Wow. It can't be done because God is bigger, and we're going to come together and get it done.
That's right.
Yes, getting everybody together. We're going to close out with a testimony from again, one of the greatest music producers of our time. And we just had a funeral for his son, teenage son, in the sanctuary last month. But first, we've been talking about this is a mental/crime symposium. And then we have an expert in the sheriff's office. Will you come down, please? She's the Gwinnett County Sheriff's Office Mental Health Task Force Commander, Major.
I knew he wasn't going to try to pronounce my name. Don't worry about it, Bishop. My name is Triquita Maldonado. I'm the mental health commander for the Gwinnett County Sheriff's Yeah. So my name is Triquita Maldonado. I am the mental health commander, the major for the mental health task force for the Gwinnett County Sheriff's Office. I'm also a licensed therapist. I've been in law enforcement for 22 years, and I have specialized in mental health for the last 13 years. As we all know, mental health is huge in our community, throughout our society, and it's one of the things that most people are talking about because for so many years we've overlooked it, and now we have a huge problem. How many in here can say that they have suffered from a mental health illness or at some point know someone that has? All of us should raise our hands. Rather, we went through some type of depression that was seasonal. We lost a family member and we had grief disorder. We've all at some point in our lives had something that's happened in our life that has caused us to have some sort of mental health illness. Right now we have over 426 inmates in our jail who are on psychotropic medications that cost us about $30,000 a month to make sure they get this medication because they are in our jails instead of in some type of facility that will be more suitable for them. The problem is there is not many places to place people with mental health illnesses, and most of the time when they are released, they go to a mental health facility and the longest they stay is 10 days. And typically if you stay 10 days, that's because you have Blue Cross Blue Shield or Aetna. Your stay is usually 3 to 5 days. So what do we do with them? They typically end up back in our facility where they don't belong. And how do we treat them? Well, they get the best treatment, of course, when they're in our facilities, but it's not where they need to be. In the state of Georgia, we are so behind in finding placement and having places for these individuals to go. We have individuals sitting in our jail that can be released, but they're not able to stand to say that they can't even enter a plea so they can get time served. We are fighting a no-winning battle until we find places to put these individuals and as they sit in our jails. Today, as I stand before you, our goal at the Sheriff's Department, our police department, all of them, they have ride-alongs, and they're doing a great job by intervening when 911 calls come in. But what we want to do is on the back end of that, before it gets to a 911 call, we try to go out to the homes, make sure these individuals go to their doctor's appointments, give them the treatment that they need. A lot of times just having that officer that come in to say, hey, come on, you going to get this shot. We typically can get them to go in the, get in the car. We have a lot of family members reach out to us. I'll make sure you all have our information. If you know someone or have a family member that can be something that we help facilitate to get these individuals to hospitals or to their appointments. Just to make sure that they do it, that's kind of what my task force do. We don't answer 911 calls, but we are on the back end. We look at how many individuals have come into our jail, who would possibly benefit from some type of services. We follow up with them. We follow up a lot with the family members. A lot of times they send us emails or call us and say, hey, when you come by, this individual will go take the medication or do those things, and that's what we want to continuously promote. I want to say that as I was an SRO for 5 years. I'm grateful for that opportunity. I saw a lot. A lot of things that are going on with our youth is happening, and it's happening while they're young. When they turn 25, 26, and you call me out, and they don't want to cooperate because they have already established that they don't like the police, versus if we start when they're young in school, getting these individuals, our kids, into counseling, getting them the services that they need while they're young. Being an SRO for 5 years, I was able to identify a lot of students that I can see that will potentially have mental health issues, and they were not being addressed. As parents, when we see these things, and as friends, let's start putting our kids in some type of therapy or getting them evaluated early on, so therefore we can get them the resources that they need early, so they won't be in a position where they're 25, 26, and we can't get them to take their medication. Again, my name is Major Maldonado. I'm with the Sheriff's Department. Anything that we can do to assist, I will have our information out back, and thank you, and I appreciate the opportunity today.
Thank you, Trukita. Major Trukita. Now, you said $30,000 a month for medication for those who are incarcerated? Wow. And those funds should be directed not to medicating, but to curing facilities. We got to talk. We got to work on this. In the back, on the back against the wall, there's sign-up sheets for these entities that are representing the judicial, for the courts, for the school board. I need you to sign up, please. Name, your email, and your cell. We're protected because we're gonna get it typed up neatly, get you in. We'll do some initial training and prep, but then your names will be offered to these experts that are here. Your contact, Dr. Watts, so you can say, I need a team at South Gwinnett. Yeah. Man, this is so serious. This is, what a great symposium. We had meet and greet and some great food, awesome decor, but this is serious. This is serious business. We must be busy about our Father's business, y'all. This is serious, serious. Now, Rhonda, I'm gonna let you. Now, judge, state judge, another first. First Black elected state court judge in Gwinnett County, who also happens to be a member of Hopewell Missionary Baptist Church in Norcross, Georgia. I told her, I started calling her judge when she was running. She's a very effective attorney. I started calling her judge. Before she said, well, I'm not a judge yet. I said, yes, you are. We're speaking that into existence. I'm talking to the two Superior Court judges over here as well. Y'all, this is big. there's a big challenge in this country. I believe, and I said it from a pulpit a few years ago, that the Antichrist spirit has been unleashed in this world, especially in this country. It starts in America. It starts with "In God We Trust" country. This is where it starts. We dragged the world down into the Great Depression. We dragged the world down and everything. We're leaders, positively and negatively. Right now it's a negative Antichrist spirit that we've got to be busy about our Father's business. I talk about those things that we got to do mentally and judicially and school system all, but I'm a devout gospel preacher. I don't pull any bones about that. I don't apologize for calling it out just like it is. And we gotta beat this thing back, y'all. But it's gonna take us to collaborate. Some of y'all say more. 3 C's. Collaborate, cooperate, and communicate. Amen. Turn to your praiser next to you. Turn your praiser. It's time for us to cooperate, collaborate, and communicate. Now give God a praise offering now. And then after Judge Colvin finishes, then we'll have, I'll introduce our last speaker, who's just going to speak to the hurt and the harm and the right now with his son.
Thank you, Pastor. I just want to take 1 or 2 minutes, and I didn't prepare anything. I just want to speak from the heart as a judge to let you all know that not one of us can solve this problem of crime. It's going to take a collaborative effort. I won't repeat all the great and wonderful things that you've already heard from these wonderful leaders here, but as a judge, what we see, and my colleagues and my friends, Judge Fluker, Judge Matthews, Judge Mason, what we see is the end product, guys. We see grieving family members, we see grieving mothers, and if we don't stop it in the schools, thank you, Dr. Watts, Dr. Thigpen, y'all have an astronomical job to do. The teachers, I take my hats off to you, but we're gonna have to support each and every one of us. We're gonna have to support the parents. And parents, when the students do things, don't jump on the teachers. We're gonna have to support the teachers. Let's not jump on the police officers, because if any one of us get clocked in the head or a crime is committed, first person we're gonna call is the police officers. So we've gotta support each other. By the time it gets to us, and it's past our DA, it's gone through the system, Judge Fluker, Judge Mason, Judge Matthews, we've got to make that tough decision. They got to send your child to jail for 30 years or life or the death sentence, okay? So you can't look at us at that time and be angry with us if we haven't all put some work into it.
Amen.
Okay? They deal with the most heinous crimes. I'm in state court. A lot of my cases are money cases. I get the cases where they're suing your family member for shooting them or loss of life. They're suing them for millions of dollars. They're taking everything you got. I, as a judge and as a mom, I gotta be fair. So what I'm saying is, let's not wait till it gets to this end point and we as the judiciary's got to deal with it, because at that point it's at the end. They're either gone to the funeral home where my pastor or some pastor has preached a eulogy, okay, or you go into some prison and you're visiting your loved ones. So I hope, if nothing else, that this will light a fire underneath each and every one of you to know that each of you, each of us, we've got a part to play. And Pastor, I want to take my hat off to you for being bold and brave enough to put this issue out there. Because pastors have a lot of power, and as one of the places where the bulk of us, a lot of folks are at one time. So all of y'all are hearing that there's a problem, and you're hearing it now, and we've got to start young. It takes a village, okay? And so I want to say, at this point, as a judge, I see this stuff. I want to come home, crawl in my bed, up under my covers with the pillows over my head, because I'm so sick and disappointed and sad that I can't go out and enjoy a normal life.
Right.
And in the morning, I gotta go and I gotta sentence somebody, or I gotta hand down a multi-million-dollar order to somebody or my colleagues, and we see the gruesome pictures. We see the devastation. I see the blood, gut, and gore. They see it. We've got to deal with all of that when we're making our decisions. So I don't like it when pastors have to call me about something, because at that point, we're kind of at the tail end. And we got to do what we got to do as judges. We're going to be fair. It's not going to be pretty, but we got to do what we got to do. So that being said, I hope if nothing else, we all collectively do what we need to do our own little part to get this crime harnessed and stopped. So thank you, Pastor.
Thank you so much. Last but not least, thank you for, boy, nobody went to sleep after that big breakfast. Nobody did the Baptist finger and tipped out, except Billy White Shoes Johnson. And I got his commitment going out. Back on that table in the back, where K-Baz and another staffer is, you'll find these brochures that our DA sent in. Great material in it. Sign up. Everybody needs to sign up to one of these entities so we get our training, get ourselves ready, so when they call, we're ready to launch. Amen?
Amen.
God bless you. Last but not least, it's exactly 12 o'clock. So Lonnie, you got 1.2 minutes. Now, Lonnie Love, as I said, is one of the greatest music producers of our time. He'll tell you about his son, his funeral, his teenage son, a father burying a 16-year-old son from gun violence in Louisville, Kentucky. So he was going to come early. He called me this morning. He didn't make it earlier because it wasn't meant to be. It was meant to be for him to come a blast, to put a face on this tragedy. Put a face on this tragedy. Lonnie, will you come, please?
How you guys doing?
All right.
Sorry for my tardiness. So my name is Lonnie Love, Senior. As Pastor was saying, my son was gunned down last month in Louisville, Kentucky. And excuse me for not knowing the names of everybody here, but what's your name, ma'am? I'm sorry. Tracy. As Tracy was stating about the marijuana deals, so as I understand it, my son was with two other guys, and some kind of marijuana deal was being had. I think of two ounces, I believe, is what I heard. And the guy, he just pulled out a gun and just started shooting. And he shot my son in the face. And, you know, my son didn't live in Louisville, Kentucky. He lived with me here in Atlanta, Georgia. He lived here, actually Johns Creek. He lived with me. And I sent him to Louisville, Kentucky to his mom for the summer break. And so while on summer break, he got murdered. So I had to bring my son back to me in a box. I had to fly his body back. The deal of it is, just being completely honest, I feel as though for the first time in decades, we have everybody from the court system to the streets, to the music business, to the whatever you do in your career, we have everybody on the same page because everybody's on the same page fighting the same fight. And that fight is, we have to save our babies. We have to save these kids, okay? It doesn't matter who they are, we have to save them. It does take a village. I recall talking to all of my friends from all the rappers that's on the radio. I know them. I've been in the music business 20 years. I work with them. I either done music with them or just personally know them. And we have to, because these are the guys that these kids are looking up to, that and social media. So at the end of the day, we have to have more events like this where we can start bringing that crowd, that community along with the kids, to the kids and the parents, so that everybody can kind of mend and these kids can start meeting these people and understand that this is not real life. What they're hearing on the radio is not real life. You understand what I'm saying? This is not real life. We have to turn this around. It has to be turned around. And I will say, I had a hand in this because I've been putting out music for 20 years. And so, along with my hand, now I have to use my same hand and try to turn this thing around. You know what I mean? Unfortunately, I remember my son used to be in there, it was in his blood. He was in there learning how to rap, learning how to do music. And he would always say, "Dad, how does it sound?" And I remember I told my friend this just yesterday, actually. I said, I kind of regret not telling him how good he was. And he was great, but I know why I would never tell him he was good, because I didn't want him to take that step into that community, into that music world. But he was destined to do it anyway. He was destined to do it anyway. And so, after he's been gone, his mom sent me a song that he had did up there while he was up there. And it broke me to tears, because in this song, he rapped about being shot in the face. Wow. And listen, I just learned about this. And that's why I told you this morning I was going to talk to you about something. I've been in a deep, dark place behind that. You know what I mean? And because he actually he rapped about his death. And my thing is, you have to be mindful what comes out of your mouth.
Talk about it.
You understand what I'm saying? If the tongue is speaking, it will become a reality. You know what I mean? And he spoke it. And shortly after, he was murdered. And, for me, it's hard for me, because it's like, oh wow, you're listening to your son, his song, and he's talking about getting shot in the face. Bullet comes out of the back of his head, and I gotta lay my son to rest. It's really no words for that situation other than we have to change this and turn this around. You know what I mean? I recall it used to be a time where we didn't really want to talk to the gang leaders. But now we have to talk to the gang leaders. We got to talk to the streets because this is where it's going down at, in the streets. Listen, my son was raised, Pastor knows, my son was raised behind the gates. A great life for this kid. This kid had no reason to go out and indulge in any of the activities he was indulging in. But guess what? He somehow found his way. Okay? And, you know, it's said that the child will sometimes, you know, fall to the weaker side. So I think he kind of knew that he had a lot of leniency by being with mom. So because I asked him, I said, son, you really want to go up there for the whole summer? He says, yeah, I want to go up there for the whole summer. Well, he didn't even make the whole summer out. He didn't even get to live the whole summer. So my point is, we have to unite everybody. We have to unite the artists that the kids are looking at. We gotta figure out, because I don't have the answers either. We gotta figure this social media thing out also, because this social media is just a platform for violence, for sex, for money, for drug dealing, for everything. Okay, yeah, it does what it does. You know, I guess it's a tool for for the good if you're gonna use it for that. But for these babies, these are kids. These are babies. You know, they say you're technically a baby. 1 through 12 or whatever. So realistically, he was only a teenager for 4 years, and his birthday is March 31st, and he was killed in June. So he was still a baby. So did my son really know what he was doing? No, he didn't know what he was doing, but he didn't get a second chance either. And this is what I tell all the kids, and I told my son the same thing. Son, it's not guaranteed that you're going to get a second chance at life. So get it together. You got 3 seconds to make the right decision. You can make the wrong decision and it costs you the rest of your life. And you can end up in prison, or you can end up in that graveyard. Both of them is a reality. I would much have rather dealt with the reality of him being in prison. Unfortunately, I didn't get that shot and he didn't get it either. So guess what? I had to bury my son. So with saying that, I can't let his death go in vain. So I'm going to end it with this. I have an organization that I started named after him. It's called the Lonnie Love Foundation, right? And they've given me, in Fulton County, they gave me my own day for all the things that I've done in the community. And I was doing all this prior to, helping the kids, sending the kids back with school supplies, book bags. We do that anyway. But it's going to take way more than that.
That's right.
We got to get knee deep into the communities. We got to talk to these parents. We got to get the parents engaged with the school. We got to get the trades back into the school. These kids got too much time on their hands. They're not learning nothing. They're not learning how to do anything. They don't know how to do anything but use that phone. And you can't even go to dinner, lunch with your son or your daughter without they scrolling on that phone, taking pictures of the food. They don't even taste the food.
Right.
You know what I mean? So, man, we gotta turn this around, because you know what? I got some friends, some real high-power friends. This is some high places, and guess what? It hit home with my son, with them, because they like, that's nephew. They watched him grow up. And now he's gone. So now they know if it can hit my home, hey, it's right around the corner from them.
Yeah.
Don't wait till it hit your home to get engaged and get involved. You have to get involved now. When I was growing up, guess what? My friend's mother would take a switch off the tree and give it to us.
Come on.
And guess what? And we better not say nothing about it. You know what I mean? Now, that's a problem. And now everybody know that. It's a problem now. But we got to get that back. We got to get the community. It takes a village. We got to get the community back. And we got to get the kids okay to talk to the police. And why you hate the police? And the police is the first people that you call when there's a problem. But yet still you hate the police. You know what I mean? We got to change that narrative. We got to change the thinking with the parents and the kids. We have to change it. You know what I mean? And it's just going to start with all of us doing what we're doing right now, coming together, talking.
Yeah.
Face with the problem. Please stand for this message. A face and a narrative. Just last month, I preached your eulogy just last month. Now, Lonnie, you held up well because he's still a grieving father. And,
Amen.
And you know, I ministered to him, and it's just not natural. One of our speakers today, juvenile court judge, he's not here because his friend's 21-year-old funeral is today. Juvenile court judge Harris. So, right, turn it around, and we're gonna do it. Make sure, don't go back down the hallway. Go back to that table there and sign up. Name, rank, and serial number. That's military. I was in the military too long. Let's see. Name, email, and phone. Cell phone. All right. Let's join hands together, please, as we collaborate, cooperate, and communicate. I'm going to pray us out of here because this is we're in Faith Hall. The sanctuary is next door. We're still on church grounds, and we need God's help. What did Superior Court Mason say? In her office, she says, God is bigger. God is bigger. Ever add to that? But God.